sequential order in a list wise. So there are two ways to set the text, set the contents into the list view. So first way is directly giving the contents inside the XML file. So the contents can be set from the strings folder. Here we can give the entries. So it's an array. So the array name is my entries, and you can set it directly from here using the entries tag. So the other way is using so is something which is a bridge between UI and our. Okay, yeah. So everyone can hear me, right? So Ravi.
I can hear you. Continue.
Hello.
Continue. Vinabadtundi. Continue.
Ravi, can you respond for once? Yeah, my connection dropped. For the adapter. So there are two types of adapters: array adapter and list adapter. So list adapter, it doesn't depend on the type, whatever type you pass. Whatever the data type you pass to the adapter, it takes as an input. But if you use an array adapter, you should specify the type of input that you're giving. So here my type is string. So what I did is I gave my type as string, and my array list is also string type. So it accepts the data, and I'm giving my custom layout. So here, this is my custom layout. So there are predefined layouts. So we learned about that yesterday. Some predefined layouts will be like this: r dot layout dot simple spinner drop down items. So these are the some custom layouts. So yeah, these are some custom layouts. So if you want to use custom layouts, you should add Android tag before that. Android r.layout. So here you'll get a list of custom layouts. The already the layouts which were there. So here activity list item. These are the item. Already predefined layouts. So here, what I did is I gave my custom layout. So the custom layout is r.layout.mylist. So mylist is an XML file which I've given as a custom layout. So I've designed my custom layout in the layout folder. That is my list. So here you can see the text view, and this is my text style. So whatever style I give it, it will be taken as my style. So this is my custom style. So I think you understood what is this. So how to create an custom style XML file is layout and add a new layout resource file. So while adding layout resource file, you should give the root element as text view. So because inside the list, what did we give? Inside the list view, we used we want only text, so we are using text view. So when you give it some name, my list 2. So this is the name, and what you'll do is you'll just add some. So you'll just add some random like whatever you want design. It's like simple text view tag. So whatever you use in an XML, you can use the same here. So I've already did my own text view here. So I've applied this to the adapter. So this is the style and this is my data. So when you do ListView.set adapter of set adapter, this adapter will be set to the ListView. So ListView, and for that ListView we set an set on item listener, on item click listener. So what it does is uh, it it returns whichever item you've selected as an ID to this ID, and this is the position where the your cursor is. So here I took and selected as a my variable. So selected will be my item that I've selected, and I've I've put the item selected to selected. So now this in this selected, the item is there stored in this selected variable, and I start here. We use the I dot put extra method to pass data from one activity to another activity. So there is another method simpler than this. What you'll do is you just give the string as static. Here you'll give the string as static, and in the other activity you'll just call it by yeah, you'll call it by the class name. So here you can see I've called it by the class name. So main activity is my class, and in that class selected is my variable. So here main activity is my class and selected is my variable. So whenever you use the class name before the variable name, it gets the variable from that class, and it allows you to use that variable. So what we did till yesterday is we've created another intent, I mean that another activity, and we've upon clicking the list view, we moved from one activity to another activity. So I'll just show you. I'll run the app so you'll understand it better. So here you can see this is my list, and I've given my custom layout and the elements. And whenever I click on one element, what it takes is it takes whatever you give it here, whatever item you click, it will be stored in the selected variable and it's passed to the second activity. And in the second activity, I've given a text view. In that text view, that we've selected from
Jerome, just check your internet connection. Hello? Just check your internet connection. Uh, the voice is too slow and the voice is stuck. Hello?
yeah. So people can hear me back, right? Okay, so I'll start. I've been talking about assets, right? So assets is a folder in assets is a folder in your project. So it will be stored in your project. So that is a folder. If you want to use some extra files which you don't want to include in your, in the app, but it should be there in your project. I'm repeating, it should not be implemented in your app, but you want it to be there in your project. So for that, we'll use assets folder. So I'm creating an asset folder. To create an asset folder, you need to go to the app. What we'll do? We'll go to the source, and you click right. You click new, and here you can go to the folder. It will show you as different can create. That select assets folder, so it will create an asset folder right here. So here you can see the asset folder. So in that asset folder, you can place text files, images, uh, uh, and some HTML files also. So it used for multiple purposes. So basically, what we're doing is we'll be placing some text file. So these are the text files that I'm placing. So when you click show in Explorer, it will show you the location. I mean the location where the folder is in your Windows Explorer. So it will be so it will become easier for you to access files in it. So here I have a quiz.txt file. So I want three quizzes. So I've created three files. So I'm renaming it as quiz one, and this will be quiz two, and this will be quiz three. Quiz three. So here I have three different text files. So you can see they'll be updated here automatically. They'll be otherwise you can manually add the file also. You can double tap it so you can edit the contents directly in the Android Studio folder, Android Studio itself. So what we'll do is we don't want to change the content for now. We just want to change the names of the files. So now what I want to do is instead of adding the data manually, here we added the in
Jerome,
the list.
just check.
What we'll do is I'll remove this
Jerome must check your internet connection. It's too slow.
manual data. Uh, yeah, I remove the manual data. Now this folder. So yeah, so what we'll do is we'll get the number of attacks. Is it fine now,
Yeah, okay, Jerome.
Ravi?
Okay, okay. Okay, Jerome, you can continue.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, so now what I'll do is I'll list my contents in the quiz folder. So for that, we need to put some extra code. has been dropped. So what I'll do is I'll be careful from now. Yep, sorry. So we'll continue. So I'm using my asset manager class to get the files inside my quiz folder. Network has been re-established. Yeah, fine. Okay, so get assets. What it will do is it will list all my files inside my folder. So yeah, so I string. I'll create a string files and I'll set it to null for now. And I'll create a string array.
Jerome, is everything fine with your internet? Hello? Hello?
Internet, it keeps on dropping. So sorry people, I don't know what's happening with my internet. It keeps on dropping. Uh, yeah, so we'll continue. I'm sorry. So I'm creating another string array. So what I want to do is I want to place the different files in an array. So for that I've created an array. So string array and yeah. So string array and the contents are null. So I'm giving nothing in that. And now, so what we'll do is we'll try to get the files. So asmg is my variable, asset manager variable. Asmg dot asset uh, okay, so we don't want the assets. What we'll do is we'll directly place the files in the array itself. Array equals to set uh, asmg dot list. So what it will do is it will list all the files that are in the asset manager. So here we're passing a parameter. So that is my folder name. So here you can see that I passed an folder name. So this is the folder which is there in the asset folder. So I'm sure that you're clear. So this quiz is the folder that is there in the asset folder. So you're fine with that, right? So yeah. So this is my quiz folder, and what I'm doing is I'm viewing the contents in the quiz folder. So yeah. So here it's raising an error in the list. So what is that error is you should do it with try and catch, because sometimes what it will do is if there is no folder, it will raise an exception. So for that, we'll have to use the try and catch method while doing this. So now, so we have the files in the string array. Yeah, yeah, we have the files in the string array, and now we'll use the string array. We'll list the string array. So for that, files equals to, or else we'll just directly print put it in the log e equals to log.e. Sorry, something is wrong. Yeah, log.e. So this is my tag. My tag will be files, and the contents are arrays dot to string arr. The reason I'm doing this is because this arr is an array. So here you can see it's a string array, and inside the string array we place the contents in the twist folder. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to convert the array into a string using arrays.toString method. So in the toString method, I'm passing the array as a parameter. So what it will do is it will list the items, and it will print them in the log file for us. So now we'll try to apply this. We'll see if it's working or not. So yeah, we'll check in that Bobcat. So nothing is happening. Oh, yeah. There are a lot of errors that raised. So what we need to find the particular error. Yeah, I think here is the error. It's very long. Wait. Yeah. So I think we don't have an error here. Yeah, we don't have an error, so don't worry. What we did was correct, and nothing happened. So here you can see that our files were listed. So this is my logi, and here these are my files list. So here you can see that I've converted the files list into a string, so it's displaying like this. So now what we'll do is we'll pass this array list to the array adapter. So here I'm changing the array adapter as a ARR. So yeah, so we'll try to run it. So yeah, I'm back. Uh, okay, so here, so yeah, sorry, we've passed the list to the adapter, and the adapter had set us the files to the list view. So here it's showing us the three files that are there in our twist folder. So now here you can see that there are some extra things that we don't want to display. So that is .txt. So we don't want to display that .txt in our list. So for that, what we'll do is we'll just it's a very simple method. We'll use a for loop to remove these unwanted things. So what I'll do is yeah. So what I'll do is I'll use a for loop for um, items in my list, that is array sorry string x array. So what this line means is, so for every element in my array, so this is the meaning of this for loop. So every element in my array, those single elements are considered as a string. So I want to consider every single element in the array as a string. So what I did is string x colon array. So what it returns is, it returns every single element in my string. So the for loop repeats for 3 times. That is because 3 elements are there in my folder. So it put 3 times. So now here what I'm doing is, earlier we created a list data array list. So you remember this, right? So this is my another array list. So what I'll do is, I'll I'll add every single element to that array list. So that is list data dot add string e x dot. So okay, what I'll do is, I'll first show you what output we'll get for this. So log e log.e, I'm sorry, log.e. So these are list of files. This is my tag, list of files, and the contents are x. Yes. So now we can see that the files will be printed separately. So each file will be printed separately. So we can perform some action to that. So here is my log list of files. Mhm. Yeah. So here you can see my 3 files are listed separately. So that is the for loop repeated 3 times. So I mean the for loop happened 3 times. So 3 files 3 times it happened. So what I'll do is, for every element in x, I'm doing this list data dot add. Add is used to add an element to that list data. So add x dot replace. So what we want to replace, dot txt with what, nothing, some blank space. So x dot replace is a string replacing method. So what it does is, whatever you give the text to replace as a parameter, it replaces that text with the replacement parameter, replacement text. So now what will happen is, for every element will be, I mean every element will be taken first, and the exe file will be replaced with the null space. So nothing will be there in that. So now we'll see. Here what we'll do is, we'll pass the list data as a parameter. So now you'll see that this .txt will not be displayed to us. See, the .txt is not it does not show us anymore. So the reason it does not show us, because we replaced .txt file with the null space. So some space we replaced it with. Uh, so that's it. So we've listed the text files. Uh, we listed the available quizzes, and so now we'll move to the second activity, that is designing our quiz page. So the quiz page should look something like this. I'll show you a preview. Wait. Uh, quiz app. So see, it should look something like this. So here the question count will come, and this will be my question, and these are the 4 options for that question. So, and this is the button. So this button will be used as a next button. So when you click on that, next question should come. So now we'll start designing our UI. So for that, we need I think we need how many elements? So one is question count, second is question, third is options, sorry, and 4 is a button. So we'll add those elements. So I'm using constraint layout like we did for the last all the previous sessions. So first is text view, wrap content, and ID is a question count. So ID is a question count at plus ID. So question count. So this is my text view variable. I mean text view ID, and I'll set some sample text so that we'll be able to see it visually. So the text is a question count. Yeah. Okay. And I want to set some size to it. Android text size. Text size is 25 dp. Yeah. Okay. That's more than enough. So now we'll add constraints to it. We'll place it on the screen, and we're adding the constraints. Yeah. So one element is done. So next one is a question element. So for that, I'm using a text view, wrap content, and Android text equals to question. So this is my question. That is question, and text size. Text size I want it to be 20 dp. So for fonts, make sure you use HP because it's more compatible than DP. Only for text use this. So for text use SP. It's better than DP. So SP, and then I need to give it an ID. So ID equals to question. Question is the ID. Yeah. So here we created the 2 elements, and I need to add the constraint for this. Constraints. Yeah, I've added the constraints for the question also, question element. So I want to set an additional attribute to the question file because I want the text to be always in a center. So that will be easier. I mean that will be good to see. So I'm setting the text to center. So whenever we apply some text, the text will be shown in the center. It will be aligned to the center. It will be aligned perfectly center. So now, going for the options. So going for the options, so we've talked about it. So I think it was I don't know in which session, but we did talk about radio groups. So I'm using the same concept in here. I'm using radio group. So first, I'm creating a radio group. Layout width will be match parent, and height will be wrap content. Yeah. So wrap content, and now we need to add some contents in the radio group. So that is how many buttons we need. 4 buttons we need. So we'll add 4 buttons. Layout with wrap content, height also wrap content, and I need to create an ID for the radio button. So that is ID option 1. Yeah, so this is my button 1. So I need to create 3 more buttons like this. 3 buttons created. So I'm changing the options 2, 3, and 4. Okay, sorry. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here we created 4 options, and we need to set text to the options. So Android set text text equals to uh, so I'm setting the text because I just want to see a preview. We can change the text later. So option 1, so I just want to see a preview. So for that I'm setting this text. So otherwise you won't be able to see it uh, in the design section, I mean in this area. So option 2, option 3, and option 4. Yeah, here you can see that the options are coming below one another. So first what I'll do is I'll try to put this area in the center. So for that I need to go to the design section. Here you can see this button. So when you click on that, it only shows the design view. It hides all the coding. So here you can see the component tree. Basically it will be hidden. So if it's hidden, you need to click the button here, component tree. So when you click on this button, component tree, it will show you all the components that are there in your activity. So here you can click on radio group. So because radio group is not virtually accessed because they are overlaid by these options. So these 4 options overlaid radio group. So we cannot move the radio group directly. So to move that radio group, we need to select the radio group from the components, and you need to move it now. You need to move it now. So now it will move. So it's in center, and I'm adding attributes to that. I mean constraints to that. Uh, Constraints added. Constraints are added. Uh, the side constraints, I'm trying to set them. Yeah. So constraints are added, and correlation. So here we missed one thing. That we need to create an ID for the radio group. So ID radio group, for the radio group I'm giving it as option group. Options, yeah, options is enough. So my radio group ID is options. So here you can see that the options are listed below, I mean one by one below one another. That is because we did not set any orientation to the radio group. When you try to set the orientation, it will give you 2 options, vertical or vertical. The options will be displayed as in a call, in a below one another. So when you try to set it as a horizontal, the options will be displayed side by side. So here in the app that I've made, you can see that the options are aligned in an order, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 in a columns and row manner. So for that, you need to learn about one more layout, that is a grid layout. So it's a new concept. I think Ravi told you about grid layout. Yeah, I think he told you about grid layout. So I'll tell you once again. So grid layout is a layout that aligns its contents into rows and columns. So whatever contents it's a so contains some elements. So grid to radio only buttons. Grid layout can hold any type of things, any type of UI component. So grid layout, my grid width should be transparent. Height also should be matched. Yeah. So below is will cite as wrap content, and grid layout also will set as wrap content. Matters. Here when you try to close, I mean, when you create a grid layout, when you close the tag, the closing tag also be generated. So this closing tag should be after the reference, that is opening tag and ending tag. So now you can see that but in the group, I mean in the radio group parent, there's another called grid layout. So in this grid layout, there's another type called radio buttons. So here there are 4 sides for the grid layout. So now, so to use the grid layout, we need to define our columns and rows. So number of columns and rows. So I'm giving my column count. Column count is 2. So here you can see it's already arranged in a rows and column wise. So whenever I give the column count, and it's better to give the row count also. Row count is 2. So row count and column count is 2. And I need to place the contents in the grid layout in center. So I'll align them in center. So to align that, you need to use a tab called align mode. No, yeah. So gravity, I think. So layout gravity center. No, okay, no, it's not that. Maybe it's in grid layout. Let's see. We'll align it in center. Gravity center. Okay, never mind that. Will gravity equals to center horizontal. Yeah. So the tag is center horizontal. What it does, it sets the contents in the center of the layout. So here you can see the layout with this match parent. So it filled all the screen. It fills the whole screen, but the height is wrap content. So the height increases if the number of items increases, but the width will remain same because it is set as match parent. So it's the maximum width that layout can possibly hold. So now, so you can see that the options are very small. They are very congested, so they are like very near to each other. So if we want to separate, I mean, we need to give some gaps between the uh, items in the grid layout. So for that, what we'll do is, so for every button, so for every element, basically, so for every element, there'll be uh, 2 attributes. They are padding and margin. So there are 2 different types of margin. So there are 2 types. So basically margin and padding. So the difference between margin and padding is you can see there is a border. Presently, there's a border to our option. So here, this is the border. So this is the size. I mean, this is the border. So what padding does is, so padding adds some space inside the layout. I mean, inside the box. So here you can see when I try to set some padding inside it. So it's set to question. Sorry, we should add it to a radio button. So we'll add it to first radio button. Padding 10 dp. Here you can see the space inside it increased, and this is padding. And when you give it as a margin, it will be different. So margin, what it does is it adds some space outside the border. So padding adds space inside the border, and margin adds space outside the border. So margin and dp. So here you can see it added some space outside the border. So what I want is I want both of them. So it looks good, no? So using both of them, it's looking good. So I'm using both for every radio button. So it adds inside space and outside space for both for all the buttons. So now they'll look like this. So yeah, here you can see it's now better than before. So yeah. So and now in the finally we need to add some button. So we'll add the button. Button wrap content and text, the text that should be displayed on the button. Next and id should be button one, and finally constraints should be added to it. Yeah, center, okay, right and left. Yeah, now I'm placing it down. Yeah, so that's it. So we've designed our UI for the quiz section. So first we did text view. So these are our text view. No edit text are used because we are not taking in any type of inputs. So yeah, so this is our screen. So now what we should do is we should get the questions that are given in our text file in the quiz1.txt file. So now yeah, so now I need to make some quiz. So I'm sure that everyone understood till now. So here this is my layout and this is the layout that I created. So I can see it's same. Okay, so now I'll run this. So we'll see the changes visually. Something view. Um, question no quiz. Okay, never mind that. This is the previous code. I mean, we've removed that element, so it's raising an error. It's nothing to worry. So yeah, so this is my first page. These are the quizzes that are available. So whenever I click on the first quiz, it will open the quiz page. It should open the quiz page. So it crashed. So that means we did some mistake, and we can set the errors in the run. So what's the thing that made it crash? This is the reason it crashed. So there is no variable. I mean, we are trying to set the text to the text view variable on reference because we have not binded the text view. So this I'm not binding any text views for now. I'm removing this. Let's run it again. Yeah, see, so this is what we made till now. So this is our quiz page. So we've designed our UI and we'll learn we'll learn about setting the text, I mean, for displaying the quiz in the next class. So in today's class, there's a little thing that I left. So that is this quiz. So here, what we'll do is I want to create a quiz. So for that, I have some quizzes prepared. I'll just call them months. Mm, Yeah, so these are the quizzes that I already kept prepared. I just copy the contents in this. So I'm adding these contents to quiz 1 and to the quiz 2. I'm adding this general to quiz. Yeah, so see, I created two quizzes. So the first quiz has two questions, and this is the question, and these are the options. So question 1, question 2, and these are the options. So this is an order. So I prepared it in order. you can see that question 2 will also be similar. So the first thing is questions. It has 3 questions, and the Q1 starting with the next line starting with Q1. So the question is find the odd one out, and this is the question Q1. How many cards are there in a deck of cards? So these are the quizzes. So what we'll do in these classes, we'll try to read this text file, and we'll try to display these contents in the log. So that will be enough for this class. So to display the contents that we've created in the quiz folder, we need to use some method. So okay, we'll try. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll do the setting text part, I mean all the coding part tomorrow. So it will be all at once. So if we do half today and if we do half tomorrow, it will be difficult for us to understand. So in this class, what we'll do is here we have a question count. So we'll try to set this question count. We'll try to change the question count text uh, to the text file that we've selected. So if we select quiz one should be displayed on that text. So TextView TV. So TV equals to find view by ID r dot id dot so question count. So this is my variable. So TV dot set text main activity dot selected. So how did I get this main activity dot selected? Uh, because I've created a variable called selected in the main activity, and in the main activity I've passed the selected item to the selected. So here you can see parent dot get item at position dot to string, and I put that selected item to the selected variable, and that selected variable I'm using it in the another class, and I'm setting text to the UI component. So we'll run it. So yeah, so if we click on quiz one will be displayed in that section, and if we click quiz two will be displayed on that section. So this is how you pass some data to one class to another. Although this method is not recommended, it just makes us easy, and since we are in learning stage, we can do it in this way. But when we go to uh, uh, higher levels, it's not recommended to use this method, like passing the data like this. You can use put extra method to pass some data from one activity to another activity. So I think that's it for today's session. So Ravi, should I continue or should I stop? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, just stop for today.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
stop it for today. We'll continue tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for joining. So